Alright, and we're back. Howdy y'all, this is Ethan Bonreal playing Earthbound, and last time we were here, we solved Threed's zombie problem, we went ahead and looked through Threed and saw that everything was A-O-Doki, and then we headed to the next area by riding the bus, which was the desert. This time around, actually, I promised last video that, that was a broken sentence, but I promised last time around that, I would go off screen and remember where the next sanctuary location was, and it turns out it's actually right above us. I just was not paying attention or thinking after we did the coffee break. So we're gonna go ahead and head in here. It's the Milky Well. And while we're doing that, I'll mention a few things about it. It is the next sanctuary location, and the boss, is theoretically very hard. But it actually doesn't turn out that way. Spoilers, this is post-commentary, by the way, because I didn't like my first 2 recording sessions of this. Anyway, we're gonna see 3 new enemies here. If you're playing through this by yourself, by the way, you really want to avoid the rambling evil mushrooms, that are in this area. Well, actually, they're not rambling evil mushrooms, they're strutting evil mushrooms, which are the next level of rambling evil mushroom. Cause being mushroomized in this part actually can be very dangerous. In part because you didn't notice it earlier, maybe, but being mushroomized has a chance to make your PSI backfire and attack your team instead of enemies. And Paula's PSI and Nessa's PSI are so strong right now that they could basically one-shot the entire team, so we don't want that. In any case, I guess I should finish up my talk on Equality Texas. I'm gonna try to be pretty quick with this, but, yeah. It's not even really a talk. To recap or explain myself, someone from Galveston, Texas independently filed a lawsuit against the state of Texas because, Texas's definition of marriage in the Texas Constitution is explicitly the union of a man and a woman, and what I was kind of commenting on last episode, or trying to, because I didn't really do a good job of conveying what I was thinking, was that people were implying, when this was posted, that it's really no one else's business what this person does, personally, if they're filing a suit. But I was of the opposite opinion, that it was of the opinion of, it was, important to other people. Because even if you think you're representing yourself, when you take something to a federal court, the decision that that court makes definitely has effects on other people, by virtue of maybe setting precedents or just the ruling that is set. So that's just kind of a literal example. I mean, it's not saying that it's gonna be good or bad, it's just that it will have an effect on other people. And because this case has the potential to set future precedents, I do think it has an impact on others. That's really my point. But at the same time, I actually think that's kind of really cool. I think it's really neat to see people take things to new levels, or to different levels. It's really neat to see kind of people believe in something, you know what I mean? And I think that's why games like Earthbound, or just games in general, are pretty interesting. In, like, this game universe or game story, you can kind of just, like, you know, do things. Do you know what I mean? Like, many of the limiters that stop people from accomplishing things, are just not present here. Like, well, not all of them, but a lot of them. Like, some of the repercussions and consequences aren't around, and I'll explain that a bit later. For instance, well, to back up, I'm not really someone who believes that, like, anything is possible. I do think that's a neat rhetoric for people to use, and it can be empowering, but I don't believe that's true. Oh, hey, a boss. I guess I should... Actually, I'll explain this boss real quick, and then I'll resume what I was about to say. Anyway, you finally got here. This is the 3rd Your Sanctuary location, but it's mine now. Take it from me, if you dare. So basically, this is the Trillionage Sprout, and it's actually supposed to be a really hard boss, but if you're over-leveled at any bit and you're not mushroomed when you come into this area, it can be really easy. The reason why it's harder than the previous bosses is that it doesn't have a crippling weakness like they do. If you remember, Mr. Carpainter had the Franklin badge deflecting his lightning, and the mole that we fought was tragically weak to the paralyze ability, and he never really got an attack off. This thing doesn't have that kind of a weakness. Other than that, it uses PSI, but we're in a pretty good spot here, so I'm gonna just get back to what I was talking about and not really say anything else about that. This boss, it's actually pretty easy if you're over-leveled like I am. But anyway, what I was trying to get at before is that I'm not kind of the person to believe that anything is possible, but I do believe that a lot of things are more possible than they seem. So I think that's one of the things that kind of makes games beautiful, is that these characters can kind of just go out with a goal in their mind, like killing this horrible boss monster, right? And do things, adapt, and just move forward just with this goal in mind. There's this understanding that anything that must be done can be done, with what the character has at their disposal, or what they can immediately acquire. So, like, you might not be able to beat a boss now, but if you power level, you'll definitely be able to beat it eventually. Oh hey, let's listen to this real quick. Yay, we got our next piece of melody. Quick recap, if you don't remember, we're collecting 7 pieces of a melody in order to unite Nessa's power with that of the Earth by visiting these sacred spots called the Your Sanctuary locations. And then the result is it'll amplify Nessa's psychic powers, which I guess is an example of something being immediately or eventually acquirable to reach a goal, is that your goal is to save the world, and getting all 7 of these things will help you do it, and it's something you can do. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess we should open up our sound stone in half a second, and maybe think about or look at the previous, not think about, but listen to the previous melodies. So, I can't remember when I stopped here. Are you gonna keep circling around, Ness? Okay. Yep. I'm still talking? Man, okay. I actually was explaining what the plot was, during this part, and I had to re-record it. Anyway. Alright, so I pressed the soundstone in my head, and we're gathering our thoughts. Alright. Yay! Alright, well that's that. I'm gonna probably abruptly cut in a sec here to head back to Threed, just because I don't want to walk all the way through Saturn Valley, because I don't want to see those things again. Although I will say off screen I did level up a little bit by killing these dudes here. But in any case, let me jump back to what I was talking about. But like I was saying, that's kind of the beauty of games like this, is that people have these goals at the start, and they're definitely achievable, right? If you can achieve them right at the start, you know you have a definite plan to do it. You need to collect all 7 plot coupons, you need to meet certain people and expand your party. Whatever you need to do is something that can eventually be accomplished with the right amount of effort, or just really just persevering along a certain track long enough. Equally important is that these characters don't really have the responsibilities or consequences that come with, like, being part of society, or even just really, in a lot of situations, reality. Nessa's mom isn't getting in trouble with the law from having her son miss school, and he's not getting seriously injured from being attacked by these wild animals. I mean, we've been fighting wild dogs or feral dogs and crocodiles, for Pete's sakes, but just getting smacked by one of those isn't enough to really warrant him being in a hospital for any kind of point in time. Sometimes I actually wonder what life would be like if things were a bit different. If, like, friends or party members, I guess in this case, only really stood to, or existed to raise you up as comrades, and if enemies only presented themselves to be overcame as a measure or a symbol of how much you've grown in life. That would be pretty neat. I mean, it's wishful thinking. I do think that's something that kind of appears in a lot of fantasy, or just, not even just the fantasy genre, but I guess a lot of fiction is that kind of situation where people can kind of just do things without necessarily being weighed down by other factors that might limit their potential. Or just change it, because I think it is important to remember in some situations that people aren't just limiting of potential, or in society isn't just limiting of potential. It just kind of modifies the direction potential is directed to, in my opinion. Like, even though there are rules and stuff with consequences, that's not saying that your ability is completely being drained out. It's just being re-forwarded towards other things. In some cases, it's family or work or whatever. The rough part is that maybe these aren't always consensual, or they're not something you have an equal say in deciding how you're going to spend that power. But, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm just a gay, mad, black nerd saying mad, black, gay nerd things. Coming back and playing this game has kind of reminded me of how I've grown, at least, or changed. I used to be very much in the understanding that, basically, anything that I did was right by virtue of me deciding to do it, and if people disagreed with me, they could just suck my dick or choke on the fattest part of it trying to stop me. But then I kinda grew affectionate for... Oh, hey, we're playing Earthbound, aren't we? Okay, so we're back in the desert. I'm gonna put that conversation on hold for a little bit. And we're gonna go ahead and get rid of this mole. If you don't remember, the whole reason why we're coming to this desert is that we need to get to the other side of it to go to the town of Fourside, right? And by town, I mean city. I keep saying this, like, almost in between every sanctuary location, but this is where the game starts to pick up even more. Hello, monkey, what are you gonna do? I think we talked to him last part, actually. Anyway, it's where the game starts picking up, and if you're noticing a formula here, we're probably gonna get another party member relatively soon. But I won't necessarily spoil that for you. Either way, there's gonna be a lot of neat stuff going on, a lot of plot stuff. There's gonna be plot and backstory exposited all over our faces. What's in here? Oh, a couple life noodles. But honestly, because this is post-commentary, as I said, I actually kind of screw up my first trip through the desert. I kind of just don't, for one, I don't run into enemies. Oh, actually, I got sunstroke. That's a neat thing about this game, is that characters get sunstroke in the desert if you're out there too long. And I saw on Starman.net, but I think this was debunked, that Jeff, because he's actually from, like, the equivalent of Europe, and is not, like, used to this heat and stuff, gets sunstroke more often when he's outside, as compared to Ness, who has a hat, and Paula, who has a ribbon to stop herself from getting burns. They get sunstroke a lot less. Although I don't know if that's actually true, or that's just like some nerd getting a nerd boner for noticing illusionary correlations. But Anyway, yeah. Also, if you didn't notice, I'm kind of avoiding those buffaloes because they hurt. And in my opinion, they don't necessarily give I don't want to die on screen, basically. They don't, it's not worth the risk of me embarrassing myself on screen and having to restart the recording. XD. Oh, hey. These things. These are actually enemies from the first game, I think. No, they're not. No, they're not. I thought they were the Titan-y things. The first game in this series is actually really neat. It's hard as balls, though. It's probably one of it's probably one of the hardest games I've ever semi-played. I couldn't get that far into it. It's very hard, and by hard I mean part of surviving kinda involves RNG, and then the enemies scale a lot. The enemies can kill you at almost any point in the game, especially towards the end. There's just, like, you don't... Have you noticed that Ness has an absolutely enormous amount of HP, and that it's very hard for him to die, while just Paula and Jeff kind of just die all the time? That doesn't really necessarily happen with the main character in, the first game in the series. He kind of just doesn't get... I mean, he's tanky, but it's not to the extent that Ness can kind of just roll his face through everything and murder everything, while trying to keep these other two alive. Anyway, what the hell is this? Okay. Okay, I'll insert a buck. I guess they're gonna be my slot machine for me. Okay. I've actually never done this in any of my playthroughs, like actually seen what getting all this stuff does. I imagine it yields money, but I've just never been interested enough in it. Alright. Let's grab this butterfly. Yay. So now what I'm basically looking for is I make the mistake of thinking, oh, I've gotten everything I need to get while I'm in the desert. I don't need to, like, do anything. It turns out I'm a fool. I'm a foolish fool who doesn't know anything. I actually missed the point in the desert we need to stop at before we go to Fourside, but we'll see that in a second. I'm actually going to go ahead and head to Fordside now a bit prematurely, because there is something we do need to do while we're in the desert that I did not take care of. Because I'm a bit fuzzy on this part of the game, because you return to Fourside a lot, and by a lot I mean 2 or 3 more times, and so it's easy to kind of forget what you're doing in between these different trips to Fourside. Especially because so much happens there. Ow. One of these days I really need to get rid of that damn chicken I got. I was gonna do a running gag with it, but then I just kind of was not feeling it, and so it's kind of been in my inventory peeping away for the past several thousand episodes, and we're fighting an extra cranky bag lady. These are pretty neat. They give a fair chunk of EXP. They give about as much as several of the enemies from the last Sanctuary area combined, so they're pretty good to fight. And they give handbag straps occasionally, which have a chance of actually paralyzing, well, not like the actual status effect paralyzing, but making an enemy miss a turn, basically. That is one thing about RPGs that kind of makes me roll my eyes a lot, is that a lot of status ailments are basically iterations of the same thing, they just have different durations. Like, being solidified and paralyzed is almost the same damn thing. Especially depending on who it is. Like, it'd be better if... Well, not better, but it's silly having all these status ailments when what they all really amount to is either you take damage over time, or you just miss turns. Although I do applaud Earthbound for having, like, for having some variation. Like, I like the homesickness one, or it's not really a big hassle, it's just like something intermittently where you miss turns or your accuracy is lowered a little bit. And the crying one is pretty good too. I like anything that isn't basically a damage over time effect or damage per turn effect. Is this taxi fighting us? Okay, we just murdered that taxi. Okay. Get out of here, sign. Are we gonna kill you in one hit too? Okay, go figure, the sign is stronger than the taxi. That's actually not how the auto-kill thing works. It's partly dependent on how fast the enemy is, and then the other part depends on how fast you are and how much damage you would do in your first turn of battle. At least that's from what I understand. So, like, it basically looks at your attack stat and decides if in one turn you would normally just kill it by yourself, and you would be fast enough to be the first one to attack. Oh well. Oh god, another taxi. You engage the mad taxi. Man, my hair is so dry right now. It's driving me crazy. Like I have really bad split ends because I washed my hair foolishly, like 3 weeks ago. I am probably the stupidest person on the planet. My hair was growing out so well, and then my dumbass was like, I'm gonna wash my hair with... I'm just gonna wash my hair and not rinse it out well enough afterwards. And now my hair is all freaking brittle, and all the moisture is gone because I'm stupid, and... and that's just not how... I'm not allowed to have nice hair in life. So I'm gonna get this cut pretty soon. It doesn't look pretty. It doesn't feel good. It's driving me crazy. Like, I'm actually picking at it right now with my head to an angle. And I can't stop. Like, I'm thinking about how okay, I'm stopping. I'm thinking about how I should stop. Now that I said it, I guess I coerced myself. But I can't. It's driving me crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and get it cut this upcoming week. I'm slapping my hand, stopping myself from pulling my hair more. I'm gonna get this cut, and we're gonna start all over again. I've literally been trying to grow my hair out for almost the entirety of my life. Not really, but most of college. It just never works out. Something happens. I have a day... the most hilarious example I can think of, or unfortunate, is that I got freaking crab juice in my hair when I was trying to grow it out, and it was going so well too, and I had to wash that out just because, for one, I didn't want having mold or shit, or just smelling like crabs for the rest of my life. And so I had to wash it out, and the shampoo I used was not friendly to black people hair. And so it was like, LOL, you don't get to have any moisture ever. And so my hair just kind of dried out, and became brittle, and then I died, and I cried. In that order. Anyway, if you didn't that was a neat sidetrack. If you did notice, we're actually heading back to the desert to find out where exactly the thing I missed is. And I know what it is after talking to that hint guy. I didn't make a big fuss about it, but if you're watching the video instead of just listening to it, not saying you should or shouldn't, but if you are, you'll notice I talked to the hint guy, and he said there's someone in the desert I need to meet. There's actually a dude with a crane, or I don't know what those things are called. The digging construction machine, a Madoo. I wish I knew what they were called. They're like the things with the giant shovels attached to them, not the bulldozers. They look kind of like cranes. The scooper Madoos. I'm gonna call it a scooper Madoo. He had one of them scooper Madoo things, and that's basically what happened with him. Or not. Oh god, accidentally stopped the video for half a sec. One sec. Whoopsie-daisy. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I did stop the recording for half a sec. Anyway. It's actually right up here, and we're running out of time on this video. We only actually have 1 minute and 3 seconds left, but, I just wanted to say, thanks for listening. I did kind of ramble a lot in this episode, and apparently this dude is digging for gold. I'm pretty sure I want in on that, so let me just give you some food here today, and I can get a slice of them profits. Oh, he won't eat that, okay. I think I have a sprig of parsley left to give him. I think I'll give him that. I wonder if he'll eat it by itself. I don't want to give him the life noodles. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can give him the parsley. Alright, you take this, and yay, he ate it. Well, anyway, we're gonna stop the recording here. Thanks for watching again. I really do appreciate it. I did ramble a lot, but you get to hear my opinions on stuff, so yay. I'll catch y'all later. Have a good one. Okay, thanks. Bye. Oh god, I got sunstroke. Okay, go, 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 go. End the recording.